And that's the thing that you have to do if you want to try for one of these records in games like this, or if you're going to try for any record on Twin Galaxies or anything like that, for speedrun's sake, you have to know when it's a lost cause. At the same time, you have to have, a pretty clear indication in your mind of when, okay, you're committed to basically sticking through the rest of the run, because you've done so well up to that point. Like, if I haven't turned the game off, I'm sure everybody knows the energy tank that I'm talking about in the wrecked ship, the one that requires, it's the water room with the grappling and all that stuff. If I am at that point, like after I've beaten Phantoon and I can get that energy tank, I'm usually committed to the rest of the run. Like, if I haven't had any major, roadblocks and have turned the game off already, I usually stick the rest of the game out. Meridia be damned. So, we got the speed booster. We're going to get the wave beam pretty soon. I wish, that's one thing the one thing that I don't like about Norfair. The music is, it's very atmospheric, but it has, like, no melody whatsoever. It's just ambient noise, basically, and chanting and all that stuff. Contrary to that, I think that the original Norfair theme and the one from Zero Mission is a fantastic song, and I wish they had, carried it over at some point, but I don't think any stage music actually carries over from the original Metroid to this one, now that I think about it. I'm trying to think, because Kraid's does not... Well, for all intents and purposes, the only music in the game was Brinstar, and that's not used. Kraid's Lair, that's not used. Ridley's Lair, that's not used, but it was made much better in Super Metroid, in my honest opinion. And Norfair's wasn't used, and Turian's isn't the same either, so... Yeah. Some music choices I felt were very good in the case of, the green Brinstar theme and the red Brinstar theme. I really enjoyed those songs. But... And of course, Ridley's Lair. But, regular Norfair, yeah. I guess I liked how colorful Norfair was in Zero Mission as well. And this is definitely a place where I would say, after you get the wave beam, for the love of God, turn the ice beam off until you get to Crocomire. Because that extra shot that you have to take to kill an enemy is just such a waste of time. Because the wave beam adds such power to your arm cannon. And you're just kind of sabotaging yourself by having the ice beam equipped. So, I guess the purpose of this is not only for demonstrative purposes and, for anybody hoping to get some tips or anything like that, but, just for me to look through and actually review one of my runs, because this is something that I've never done before. I've never gone back and, looked at, a previous run that I've done of the game, just because I've never recorded it. This is my first actual recording of a speedrun through the game. 100% speedrun. Anyways, here we have Crocomire. If you have enough super missiles, you can use those. I think you might go back a little further if you use super missiles, but charge beam works just as well. And if you did de-equip your ice beam, I would say re-equip it, just because it is a little bit stronger. And that's actually going to take effect in the Phantoon fight as well, which is why I de-equip the ice beam. But I'll talk more about that when I get to it. Anyways, when Crocomire, I think everybody knows this, but when Crocomire revs up like that, he's going to be shooting some balls from his mouth. That's what she said. But every now and then, whether it's through just blatant ignorance of the enemies around me, or every now and then Crocomire might get a hit on me, sometimes I won't have enough energy to actually complete this jump, and if that happens to you, I would say on your way back out, definitely try and Shine Spark across. It's faster. here I'm trying to play along with the theme on my trumpet arm cannon. Not pleased. And of course, oh, I completely neglected to mention the beer lava. No, it wouldn't be Super Metroid without beer lava. And of course, that's a nod to Over the Gun. That's not a term that I came up with myself. I mean, what else could it be? Because it's an interesting dichotomy, and of course I failed this jump, and this is a room that I end up blowing a precious minute on. But what else could that stuff be? I mean, the original Metroid basically established that lava is stronger than acid. And then, of course, you know, that was continued in Zero Mission. But this game just seems to hate just sticking to consistency, because there is no, like, corrosive stuff in Brinstar or anything like that. So there is no acid in Brinstar. I mean, there might be beer lava somewhere, but yeah, in this game it's sort of the reverse. Lava is weaker than acid. I don't know, just something I've never understood. Beer lava. And it's just a little trick to save like a couple seconds of platforming. Shine sparking in certain areas. I do actually make use of a little trick called the short speed booster. Basically, it involves taking a step or two without the run button, held down, and then clicking and holding the run button. And for whatever reason, it actually makes Samus break into her speed booster like a split second faster, and that's so important in just completely cheesing speed boosting past the platforming leading up to the wrecked ship, which you will see me do. We got missiles. And we're up to the grapple beam, or the grappling beam. This game had a little bit of an obsession with just trying out different names. I mean, it's not the morph ball, it's the morphing ball. It's not the grapple beam, it's the grappling beam. Of course, I guess this is where they came from, but the terminology came from. But I love that. We get the grapple beam in that room, and then we completely cheese past the point where you're supposed to grapple with the wall jump. I love this game. And you might be able to make that jump if you... Well, not this one for sure, but you might be able to make the first jump if you just are so good at, you know, jumping with momentum. But that sort of is where the line begins to be drawn between risk and reward. You know, if you play higher risk... you could definitely lose out if you screw up on lots of precious time, or sometimes even die, and then your run is basically screwed right there. But it basically balanced risky versus rewarding plays. And I don't know why I go this way. But yeah, my first playback through the game was a couple of nights ago. I had played, and I got lost a couple of times. And my end resulting time was something like... Oh, I don't remember. I just completely screwed that jump up. But my end time was, I think, 1:49 or something of that nature. Which was, you know, pretty good for a 100% run. Definitely, I've done much better in the past. But for, you know, getting lost and actually remembering where everything is, 1:49 is a pretty decent time. Of course, I came back to form and did a 1:20. Off camera, of course, but that's what I came back to my following run. And this is just due to the stage fright, I guess. You know, I get 4 minutes worse on this than I did in my previous one, but it is what it is. It's still definitely a pretty solid run through the game. Anyways, we're out of Norfair for the very first time, thank God. I think this would have been our second or third time out of Norfair if we were following the intended sequence of events in the game. And that's what I love about playing through this and speedrunning it. You basically streamline and create your own new way of playing through the game. Like I said at the start of this, I do not remember what the intended sequence of events was when you play through this game the first time. I think it's, like I said, you get the high jump boots in Norfair, then you go up and you get the Spazer, and then you go fight Kraid, and then you go back down after you have the Various suit, and then, of course, since you can't mock ball, you Ice Beam. Well, you can't get the Ice Beam, so you have to wheel around some weird way, and then you get the Speed Booster, and no, you can't even get the Wave Beam because you can't. If you can't wall jump, you can't get the Wave Beam without the grappling hook. So I don't know. So then you get to actually no, you have to come out of Norfair, then come up here where I'm at now and get the power bombs, then go back down to Norfair, get to the area where Crocomire is. And do you see where I'm going with this? The whole back and forth from Brinstar to Norfair. I can understand why some people would, hate the backtracking of Metroid, but if you're good at this game, it's not the same with the Prime series or, games after. Maybe Zero Mission to a degree, but, most of the games after Super Metroid, there is a lot of backtracking. But, if you're good at this game, you basically mitigate most of the backtracking and do quite a bit of what you have to do your first time through an area. It's sort of like the same thing where, people don't like water in Sonic. Well, if you get good enough, you can just go over the water anyway. Obviously, there's some exceptions, but... Anyways, we got missiles. If you're, reckless, I guess... There's some kind of a speed tactic that I'm not good at, and I think I tried it one time in the previous room that I was in to get to this shaft area, where you take damage in a certain way, and Samus will fly backwards really far. And some people have used that as a speed tactic, like you'll hit the ceiling, and then maneuver yourself in a way so that you're facing your back towards the way you want to go. You hit a spiky ceiling or an enemy or something like that, and then you'll end up going a couple of feet back and then going in the direction that you want to go faster, rather than just going through all the crappy precision platforming. I still, there's some nuances of the game that even I haven't mastered. I am by no means like a Metroid master, because the guys who are capable of getting 113 in one full run of the game without, rest in between. Red Scarlet and the one who ended up beating her time, they're fantastic players, and they pull off some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen. But the fact of the matter is, even though they did it on a console, they had multiple takes to do it. They'll save at a certain save point, and then from that save point, they will start the game up again and keep trying and trying and trying to get from that save point to the next save point as fast as humanly possible in many, many different takes. The fact of the matter is, I could do that. I don't find that very appealing because I don't like going through the same part of the game over and over again. I love going through the game in one full run. And it's really sort of the Iron Man test. I mean, you can do all these small chunks of the game pixel perfect and, complete the game in like 50 minutes at 100%. That's fine and dandy. And anybody could do that with enough time investment. This is what separates that, because you are going through the entire game start to finish. No rest in between, no redos. I mean, if you screw up badly, you have to start the whole game over. And I do make use of the short speed boost here, as I mentioned before. Take like a step or two without holding the run button, and you know, it makes you able to speed boost in places and do a shine spark in places that you wouldn't normally be able to do. You have to be pretty good at timing it. Otherwise, if you keep the run button not held for too long, then you end up taking the same amount of distance to get a speed boost done. So you have to be pretty good at it. Anyways, here we are on the wrecked ship. I'm completely ignoring the area. Coming up on Phantoon here pretty soon. And of course I get hit by the floating skulls of doom. And like I said, we're almost at the point where if I've gotten this far without ending the game, I'm pretty much committed to a finish. And Phantoon is a boss that I have actually died to. And it's such a pain in the ass when you die to it, because if you're like me, you haven't saved. Well, or if you have saved, you know, you have to start back at your spaceship or something like that. And that's no fun. But, you know, for the purposes of a Twin Galaxies playthrough, if you die at Phantoon, you're screwed. You start over again. So what I've done here is, because of the way Phantoon is programmed, if he takes, you know, a certain amount of damage at a single point in time, he will actually disappear after one shot of a charged beam. That's why you take away the ice beam, because, you know, it takes away one small layer of damage that's added when you have the ice beam. And it allows you to take 3 shots at him instead of just 1 shot and he disappears. And, of course, I'm making use of the pseudo screw attack just for the purposes of avoiding his eyeball flames. But yeah, I have had many, many tries through this game where, and of course here is no exception, where I come to Phantoon and I have such little energy. He's not a boss that messes around. And so I'm trying in vain to, you know, get a couple bits of energy from his eyeball flames, but... And if you want to get technical, what you should do for the ultimate, you know, in-game speed through the game is you should take 2 shots with an uniced wave beam, and then when you're about to aim your 3rd shot to him, you put your ice beam on, and then take your shot, and then it's a little bit stronger. It might take away 1 or 2 shots that you have to make on him in total, so it'll make him a little bit faster. So if you're going for absolutely anal speedrunning, I just think that that just gets a little bit repetitive and inane at that point, but that's just me. So Phantoon is dead, and we're almost at the point where, like I said, I'm committed to finishing the game off, and that's the Water Room of Doom. Because when you're in the Water Room of Doom, bad stuff happens, usually. If you don't time your jump exactly right, you're going in the drink and into a watery grave with a whole lot of spikes. Get some super missiles. Yeah, the game up to this point is very sparing on giving you super missiles, but after this point it starts laying on a whole bunch to you. Which is good, because as soon as you get the plasma beam, the super missiles are actually weaker than your arm cannon. So they might as well give you as much ammunition as they can as soon as they can. More super missiles. And what I have always found so funny about Super Metroid's design is that they have spread so much out across every area except for Criteria and the wrecked ship. Because the area of Criteria that's to the right of the wrecked ship, that you go from one end of it and out the other, the area that you go out the other I have been to, like, one time, I think. It serves no purpose but as a backdoor into Meridia. And I've never, you know, for speedrunning's sake, I've never seen anybody go through it. It's like the most pointless section of the game. They didn't put any expansions in it or anything like that, so there's no way to, I guess, appreciate that far side of Criteria. It's so big, too. I mean, you'd think that they'd put an expansion of some kind in there. Anyways, I get rid of the high jump boots because, like I said before, if you crash into the ceiling with the high jump boots, you're going to end up falling faster than if you just had a shorter jump. So, I try really hard to not screw this up, because I have screwed it up many times in the past, and as I said, if I get past this point, I'm committed to it, and I do get past this point. Does that stop me from going into the drink after I have the energy tank? I don't believe so. In fact, I think... Yep. I take a second too long to jump. And here's the really screwed up part about being underwater. Unless you have enough momentum, if you jump straight up with Samus, her body will actually sort of follow a current. And it'll veer off to the left or right, and it's like being in molasses. It's really bad. But we don't have to worry about that very soon ever again, just because, I mean, we're close to the gravity suit. And like I said, and I think it's a pretty good rule of thumb to follow if you do plan on speedrunning this game. If you get to this point with, you know, decent time, I think you probably should be committed to finishing the game off. I mean, obviously, if something catastrophic happens, like you're lost with no damn where to go, then definitely, you know, restart the game. But if you don't have anything major happen, like if you just have a couple of wall jumping screw-ups in certain sections, then you should probably just stick it out. It's all about time to game investment. And though I am 11 minutes off from the, I guess the officially recognized world record of the game, where once upon a time I was just like 3 minutes away from it, I certainly do well for myself, and if I ever decide to submit this to Twin Galaxies, they'll have a 1 hour and 24 minute record for the Virtual Console version of Super Metroid. But alas, the actual record of 113, I'm not sure if I'm going to get that. And I think this is pretty common knowledge, but in this room, it basically operates on you kill every enemy in the room and the doors are unlocked and available to open. You have to open them in order for them to stay unlocked. So even though I didn't go to the far left side of that corridor, I opened the door up anyway just for the sake of that's where I gotta go, and I gotta keep myself from going in and fighting those enemies all over again. Pretty rudimentary at this point, the wrecked ship. It's not too bad. Of course, my failure with the pseudo screw attack. And this is the one time I have played through this where I know where this expansion is, and I have screwed up. Because, you know, I'll get up here, screw up my jump. I was like, okay, I'll get another running start. Go up. Boom. I was, like, literally 2 pixels to the right too far. And it's like, okay, 3rd time's the charm. There we go. You don't have to platform and, you know, do all that stuff. You just have to know the right spot to shine, spark, boost up, and there you go. This area is protected by a super missile lock, so, and it is a regenerating super missile lock. I don't quite understand that, but you know, when I think super missile, I think, okay. I think of something so devastating that, you know, it's not going to come back if it doesn't survive. Get through this little room here. I think the smart play would be to just have your pseudo screw attack or your beam charge jump and just somersault through. And there's the odd Samus colored zoomer that you only see in one area of the game, that being right there. And here's the Chozo statue, otherwise known as the bathroom break part, if you can make it really fast. Because this is like a minute-long snore fest. Okay, so it's a 20-second long snore fest. And on our way down to the second reserve tank. Yeah, I probably should have just used a power bomb straight away there. Like I said, guys, this is both for your benefit as well as mine. Just showing off my path and all that stuff and the way that I get through the game and have gone through the game in the past at 1:15 is the best I've ever done. I think 1:15 is the best I've ever done. 1:15 to 1:18, something like that. Get our reserve tank. And I guess obviously in the comments section of these videos, I'm always open to suggestions for, you know, faster paths. I mean, obviously there's going to be comments like, well, just get better at wall jumping in this certain area or something like that. And, you know, that's just human error, and that's going to come from a long play through the game, which is exactly why it's not, you know, the world record time isn't something that's achieved through multiple takes through a certain part of the game, like some of these 55-minute ones out there. I guess the officially recognized one single playthrough of the game without emulators or anything like that, save states, anything, is 1:13 from start to finish, no saving. But we are just about done in Criteria. And you could probably save a little bit of time by shine sparking through there again if you use the short speed boost. Not that important though. This is where we want to build up speed. Get through here, get to the ship, don't save. Just recharge everything.